Hi, spots and cheap pops. Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Silicon Steve Valli, and I'm with my man, Vladi Dottie, and we are piloting you through the world of professional wrestling. Vladi Dottie, hope you're doing super well. We're going to get right into it. Blood and Guts, I think it was the third one. Nobody fell through any cardboard, which is great.
It was great that they avoided that.
Yeah, that wasn't a good spot. But the Blood...
It was dangerous. Just ask them.
The Elite and Blackpool Combat Club feud, many people feel wasn't really as good as it may have should have been. I'm certainly on that. Many feel it went a little too long. I'm certainly feeling that. Blood and Guts was kind of a microcosm of this feud, wasn't it?
100%. It was just very disjointed at times. Who's the face? Who's the heel? I don't know. Face.
Right there. Start right there. At the end of this thing, I'm not sure what they're going for here.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, the idea of this feud was the Blackpool Combat Club was going to make the Elite better, not amateurish. But this match, look, these dudes busted their asses. They performed. The spots were really well performed, but they're just a lot of the things that went awry here, and it wasn't a bad match by any means, but did it need to be an hour if you weren't going to tell a real cohesive story? The cohesive part of the story was towards the end, when not only did Pac abandon the Blackpool Combat Club, then Don Callis realized, well, my boy's going to get really hurt if I keep him in there. He called Takeshita out, and then at that point in time, it was all elementary, and they handcuffed Jon Moxley, and then it was over. The finishes, and then we'll work from there backwards. The finish is Jon Moxley tapped out because Wheeler Yuta was getting choked out and couldn't tap out himself. They didn't pick that up on the camera. This is the biggest part of the whole entire story of this match. Of a story you're going to try to tell and springboard off of this match. Jon Moxley, the heel, the cold-blooded heel, showing mercy on young Wheeler Yuta and actually giving up for his team, giving up for his teammate to spare him. That's big. And I guess we're going to have a Blackpool Combat Club babyface turn now. What were they, heels for 4 months? Like, what the fuck? But
it's a phase more than anything.
It was really just a phase. It was, it might have been just like, fuck you, Elite, But that's such a big part of it. But there were so many other things that just were like, why did Pac leave? Pac leave out of nowhere? I mean, I get they were buddies.
And on that note, why did Pac have more hatred and disdain for Claudio versus the Elite, who knocked him out of action for 7 months storyline?
Why does everyone hate Claudio so much? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Why is Eddie Kingston and Pac just always want to get after Claudio? It totally bothers me too. And the other thing about Pac, I love this part of it. He's like, all right, F it, I'm out of here. He knows the exact location of the bolt cutters. Here they are. First, here it is. I swear to God, I didn't put this here myself or watch anybody else. It was just a lucky guess. Didn't even fish around for it.
Well, you know what? That's a little, I'm not going to worry about that. That of all the things that went wrong there.
Phony.
Yeah, but you know what? If he sat there and looked for it for 10 seconds, he'd look like an idiot, and we'd kill him for how come he didn't know where it was and wasting our time? So what do you do there? I think you could have had that spot done a little bit differently.
I'll agree with that.
Well, I don't understand why he would just know, but maybe he had problems with Claudio prior. But it seems like that's going to spawn off something. Now that Eddie Kingston's in Japan, he's actually competing in the G1. Congratulations to Eddie Kingston. But because I know he's very happy about being able to compete in that tournament. It's a very prestigious tournament. But the point is that Claudio, maybe that's what you have. You have Pac go after Claudio for the Ring of Honor Championship, which I think would be an outstanding match and an outstanding feud. But who's the babyface? Because then you have them deserted, and Don Callis then takes Takeshita out, and Don Callis might be the absolute most hated person in AEW right now in terms of his crowd reaction.
He's drawn major heat. And let me ask you a question. Any chance Jack Perry joins his family?
Christ's sake, I don't know, man. That's a whole other ball of wax with Jack Perry. Holy shit.
I could totally see that.
We'll have a separate video on Jack Perry.
Sidebar. Yeah.
Holy shit. I like him less as a heel. I didn't think that was possible.
It wasn't possible, and you found it somehow.
Like, Jesus Christ. Generic. He looks like Jericho like a year ago. Like he was coming out with the leather pants. I mean, Jericho, fuck it. He looks like Chris Jericho now. He looks like Jericho 20 years ago. Jericho was trying to be Jericho of today 20 years ago. But a lot smaller and less talented on the mic.
Right. Complete droid.
Oh, Jack Perry makes me so mad.
Thanks, Kenny.
Jack Perry makes me so angry. I'm covering that up so we don't get sued by Smartwater with all the millions of dollars we have raking in. But I will literally lose myself talking about Jack Perry for 20 minutes. How much?
Gotcha. All right. So
I just thought that was the finish not being carried correctly, and the manner which the Elite won, making the Blackpool Combat Club very sympathetic, is the Elite turning heel, and when we're done with this conversation, we got to start talking about if the Elite are staying and a couple of telltale signs that but we're going to get that on a later video. But Vladi Dottie, what are some of your biggest criticisms about Blood and Guts? Have they had a real great Blood and Guts yet? I think last year's was really good.
Truth be told, I can't stand these sort of matches. I think
you're already coming from like a fuck John Moxley. And you hate the Bucks. And let's break it down, Vladi.
Yeah.
The deck is stacked against this match for you liking it.
Oh yeah, it was awful. I was like, God, what am I doing? I felt like I'm doing something for my art here.
Wait, who do you give me in the people involved in this match?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you up or a thumbs down. You tell me what you think about him. Takeshita. Up. Claudio. Up. Yuta. I think Yuta's going to get an up.
Up. Right.
Okay. Kenny Omega.
Down.
Oh, you know come on.
He's even Steven.
The line of the night, by the way, there's this little sidebar. Don Callis said, Kota Ibushi, the original codependent friend of Kenny Omega. Give me your rankings between Jon Moxley, the Young Bucks, and Orange Cassidy.
Young Bucks are most hated out of that list. Easy.
And because they're gross and full of shit, yes.
Because they've been gross and full of shit for more than a year now, and this has been dissected on this show. We have an entire exhibit that we could just show, and we've been right. With even hindsight being 2020, we were right.
We're brilliant.
It's amazing. And then after the Bucks and just all that hatred there, I would say it's a little different then. You said Moxley or Orange Cassidy?
Yeah. Who do you dislike more?
I would say right now probably Moxley more than Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. Well, this was a Moxley match. Moxley was Moxleying out all night. So if you don't like Jon Moxley matches and blood and gore, and I'm sacrificing your children and your pets because of blood and gore, Jon Moxley won't be your match. So, all right, Vladi Daddy.
Made it better nails.
So with this predisposed notion that this wouldn't be your cup of tea, probably even if it was done beautifully, give me your feeling on this particular match.
You know what? It's one thing to expect all that, but and it's not my cup of tea. The violence, et cetera, et cetera. However, storyline wise, I was still waiting to see where this goes, and the way it was so botched and the way they told it killed it further for me. So yeah, even though Pac's in there and Claudio and there's some guys that I do appreciate and like, and I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? And then all of a sudden, instead of going deeper into Pac's hatred with the Elite, all of a sudden we're just veering off into another storyline because they got to do something with Ring of Honor and Claudio, and then all of a sudden Pac is the contender for that championship versus him sealing the deal with the Elite. Strange.
Yeah, especially considering the history. But that was the reason that Pac joined them to begin with. But again, and why does everyone hate Claudio so much? Jesus Christ. Everyone hates Claudio, and he seems like a really genuinely nice, good guy.
Yeah, I'd go get a coffee with him.
I'd drink some. I would watch him do CrossFit. That sounded creepy. Just watching him.
A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah.
Not my type, but either way, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of things could have been told a little bit better. I think they bring up the shoe spot in the build for this match in the road to on their YouTube channel. And they talk about the exploding shoe spot. Why didn't you just have the exploding shoe spot here when they actually won the match, where it actually can mean something? Because now you can harken back to that exploding shoe spot. I just remember Jon Moxley getting up and giving an inverted atomic drop or a regular atomic drop on the thumbtacks on a Matt Jackson 90 seconds after his face exploded. Like they just don't, it seems like they have the Elite and even Jon Moxley through their entire careers had a really good idea of big picture stuff, but the details, like a ring supposed to explode or just talking on camera like your buddies, which Kota Ibushi and Moxley was doing at the end of the night too. Like Moxley didn't look upset. He was like, what are you going to do? Well, and how is he talking to Ibushi? What kind of like what was Kota Ibushi talking to Dean Ambrose about, or Jon Moxley about? I can't believe I called him Dean Ambrose. It's weird. But what was that? I mean, like the details, they need to be rung in because the ideas are there. Yeah. The ideas are there. I see what they're trying to do, and I saw what they were trying to do in this match. But again, not having Jon Moxley tapping and giving up, that is such a big, crucial part of this story. First of all, it's the finish.
Right.
And just to show that violent, you focus on the choking out of Wheeler Yuta. You should have had a cameraman directly on, knowing that Jon Moxley was going to be the guy who submitted and quit. You need to have a camera on him the entire time to play his actions, the way he sells. That's the difference between Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley, or that right there.
Yep.
And WWE.
You're 100% right with that. And that was like the other thing I was mentioning where, I was annoyed with the Pac thing, but most importantly, Blackpool Combat Club. All right. Like, this is how we end it. And it's just such a fart in the wind, really.
And Wheeler Yuta always takes the fucking loss. Fucking guy.
Oh, that he traded that one pin on Omega.
Yes.
For all these losses.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's totally fine. So this was, like I said, a real microcosm of this entire feud. Just details being lost, not really telling the most coherent story, because it was there to tell a great story. The Blackpool Combat Club trying to pull the barbaric shit out of the Elite to get them not to be amateurs. They're still amateurs. And when Bryan Danielson isn't in the ring with them, it seems like at least it's not nearly as good. So that's where we're at. That Blackpool Combat Club, it looks like they're turning babyface now, because they're going to have issues with Takeshita and Callis. Yeah. Where do you think you go from here with them?
I got a feeling you're going to see Jericho and the Callis family. You're going to have Takeshita there. And honestly, that's probably the best thing for Jericho. This might revitalize him a little bit. Him working with Callis especially. Because I think
Takeshita.
And I think Callis could rein him in a bit. Like collaborating. Yeah. So, I'll see. It'll be, and we'll see who they add to this. But, it looks like the Blackpool Combat Club is going to go and feud with those guys. So instead of doing the Jericho Appreciation Society, okay, we're going to get the Callis family.
Which I agree with you. The JAS, they're all kind of turning on Jericho, saying they don't want much to do with them. Yeah. So Jericho definitely needed a reset button. He probably needed it about 3 to 6 months ago. I would say 6 months ago, right around the time Action Andretti thing happened. Jericho should have started pushing toward where he's going now. But hey, the guy is, to his credit, is acknowledging that he hasn't really been at his best. He even acknowledged it on screen. So there you have it. Blood and Guts 2023 is in the books. But everything said, just one more thing. These guys busted their asses and they put their bodies on the line. And there are a lot of really awesome, impressive stuff here. So I don't want to kill it completely. These guys absolutely did everything they could to make this a great match. Just booking and actions and just amateur type stuff continues to plague the Elite and portions of the Blackpool Combat Club. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Alley, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for High Spots and Cheap Hops. Here endeth the lesson.